Hi Flosstube, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and the very last day of the year. It is Sunday, December 31st, 2023. First, I want to wish everyone a very happy new year. I am going to be stitching 12 by 12 with one of my whips. I know I talked about it in my last Flosstube episode. I will have a dedicated recap for that in my next regular Flosstube. I'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. Today is a special edition Flosstube episode. Today I want to take a minute and talk about what all you can create or stitch in a year. I really felt called to look through my notes, mostly here on Flosstube, so I hope I'm not missing it. I'm not missing anything. But to see what did I stitch this year and how can I record better next year so that it's easier for me to do another recap. So not everything I'm going to show you today is a fully finished object. That is what FFO stands for. But it's a finished stitch. And I can tell you this, I realized I have a lot of things to fully finish. So I am going to be dedicating a lot of 2024 to fully finishing items and stitching my whips. Now, I know you're seeing tons of whip parades out there, and I am going to give you a whip parade. That is going to come after this Flosstube. So stay tuned for that. I am really excited to kind of go through all of my whips. And again, I know I think I talked about it in last episode. Weed out anything I'm not interested in stitching anymore and see what I have, make a game plan, and go. So that will all be covered in my next video. So without further ado, I want to dive in to today's episode and show you everything I stitched this year. I will give you as much information as I can for each of these. And if I did a finishing tutorial, I will link that either down below or I'll link it up in the corner and I will let you guys know where that is for each of those things, or you could always just check the information box down below. I do offer timestamps in my videos to make it easy to go to the section you want to go to. This being a special edition Flosstube, I am going to break it down by sections. That's how I broke down all of my finishes. So we're going to start with Christmas. Since we just had Christmas, I thought I'd start with Christmas. We'll move into winter, Valentine's, spring, Easter, patriotic or summer, fall, Halloween, and that will round out all of my stitching for the year. So I will put the charts that I can, if I can find links to all of this stuff, there should be links for all of it. I will provide all of those down below. If I know the fabric, I will, and there's a link, I will link that down below. So definitely check that information box if you're interested in any of those. So let's go ahead and get started with Christmas. So the first thing I want to share today is an ornament that I finished shortly after Christmas last year. But according to my notes, I did finish this, or I at least shared that I finished this in January. I may not have the exact dates because obviously I finish things throughout the year, even if it's out of season. But I did try to break them down by season. And so this is a cute little primrose cottage chart. This is Let It Snow. I stitched this on 25 count mushroom Lugana with the called for threads, I believe. And so stinking cute. I added a little stitching with the Housewives bow up top, some Lori Holt vintage trim, and I finished it on this beautiful ornament from Chantal's 141 Design Co. This was her mystery make-along box from 2022. So just an idea of some of the things you can do with her ornaments. This is, finish this ornament, pardon me, with some Tim Holtz Distress inks, and then I used a nice poly top coat to seal that color in. Absolutely love this. This was finished on a piece of sticky board as well. I have a little batting underneath. That's how I finish all of mine. I like that little bit of batting, and then some cute little snowman beads from Amazon round it out. So that was one of my Christmas finishes for last year. All right. Next up, another Primrose Cottage chart. This is finished stitching, but not finished. And I finished this a long time ago as well. This is Snowman Kisses by Primrose Cottage, stitched on 25 count mushroom Lugana with the called for threads. Absolutely adorable, and I need to finish this because this can be put out for January. So I am going to brush off my finishing skills and get some of these finished stitches complete, but absolutely adorable. So fun. So again, this is Primrose Cottage Snowman Kisses. Next up, we have Cherry Hill Stitchery Merry Christmas. This was my first sled finish that I did, and I did this on the small size sled from Chantal's 141 Design Co. I stitched this on 32 count platinum Lugana, and I used my own color conversion for this. So it's all over dyes. I really just pulled some floss from my stash to stitch this, mounted it on some sticky board with a couple of layers of batting underneath, then mounted it on some fabric, then on a sled that I finished much like the snowman ornament, and also a finishing tutorial, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. A really pretty bow. I stitched a button, added some greenery and some more wood beads from Amazon, and I decorated for Christmas this year. If you watched my home tour, I had this and my Jingle Bell Sleigh Ride Co. together on easels next to my tree, and they looked really awesome like that. So again, this is Merry Christmas from Cherry Hill Stitchery. Next, we have this Teresa Kogut Dancer's Friend ornament. This was part of her Patreon, and I left the date off of this because I intended to finish this all along. I stitched this on 32 count paper bark by Fox and Rabbit with all the called for DMC. I absolutely adore this, and this is going straight into my pile for January finishes, which is part of my plans. I'll talk a little bit more about that either at the end of this video or in my next video. I am going to incorporate monthly Christmas videos into my Flosstube and my paper crafting. And part of that will be sharing finishing videos and finishing tutorials and talking about Christmas stitching all year long. So again, this is Dancer's Friends from Teresa Kogut. I hope she releases this year. This was a quick, fun stitch, and I cannot wait to make that into an ornament. I'm a little bummed that I didn't get that done this year. Next, we have Cup of Christmas Cheer by With Thy Needle and Thread. This was stitched on 28 count light taupe with all the called for floss, other than I feel like I switched something that was only like 3 stitches. I think it was the base of this tree. And I was like, I'm not getting a special DMC floss for just 3 stitches. So whatever that was, I can't exactly remember now. That's what I did. I turned this into a pillow not that long ago. I kind of fully finished this fall. I finished it much like the chart, with a little ribbon with a pin on the top, some rickrack sewed around. I made it into this cute little pillow. I forgot to have my pom-pom. I even bought pom-poms, so I'm actually going to stick this guy into my pile for fully finished before I put him away for the year and add that pom-pom. But he is a finish. I absolutely adore this finish. I think it's so cute. So again, this is Cup of Christmas Cheer by With Thy Needle and Thread. One of my stitch-alongs this year was a Christmas in July sal where we stitched the Jingle Bell Sleigh Ride Co. by Cherry Hill Stitchery, and we finished it on the large sled from Chantal's 141 Design Co. I stitched mine on 28 count vintage country mocha with my own overdyed floss conversion, which I love, especially for the horse. I thought it really showed up beautifully. And I switched a couple of colors. I believe Dashing Through the Snow was supposed to be white. I stitched mine in my red color so it would really show up. I finished much like the Merry Christmas. In fact, I had more of this ribbon left over from that small sled finish, and I wanted them to kind of go together. So I did another bow. I made another stitched covered button. I did add some rusty jingle bells here, which I love because it really matches this whole theme, the sled, the jingle bells. I did lots of greenery up here, and then of course some beads from Amazon here at the top. So this was the Jingle Bell Sleigh Ride Co. from Cherry Hill Stitchery. So pretty, and it turned out so amazing. I love it so much. To go with that, we also stitched an ornament as a little bonus add-on. July is a great time to stitch Christmas. Actually, all year is a good time to stitch Christmas, not right up next to Christmas. I love stitching in season, but I noticed I finished the things I stitched out of season. So I finished this on one of the ornament finishes from Chantal's 141 Design Co. This is the ornament sled. We stitched only a portion of Cherry Hill Stitchery Rudolph's reindeer games. We stitched the reindeer. He fits on here. This is 28 count vintage country mocha, just like I did for the Jingle Bell Sleigh Ride Co. I added some little grommets, which I added some on the large sled as well. These are Tim Holtz. They look like little screws, which is fun. Put some beautiful ribbon, more of these fun jingle bells. I did sew on a couple of buttons to kind of work and go with the snowflakes in the background, and added a beaded little hanger here. This hung on all of these ornaments that are finished, hung on my tree this year. I loved that. And again, I used my own over-dyed floss conversion. You can find that in any of the playlist, which I am going to link right here for the sal for the Jingle Bell Sleigh Ride Co. and the bonus ornament. Another bonus for the Sleigh Ride sal was the Sleigh Bells ring chart from Cherry Hill Stitchery. And I stitched it on the 28 count vintage country mocha. And I am still working, that's part of my whip parade, the Rudolph's reindeer games, because I want it to be a pillow as well. But I finished this into a pillow, more rusty jingle bells tied into the corners. I love them. And I used my own, that same floss conversion for this stitch. I did change the text from brown to red, added a little vintage trim, some twine, and it was just the perfect little Christmassy finish. I love how well it goes with everything, and I love, love, love Cherry Hill Stitchery charts. So this was another really cute and fun, easy stitch. Okay, so I just didn't get all of my ornaments stitched or finished. That's why I'm doing a whole dedicated series this year. But this is the With Thy Needle and Thread Holiday Hoopla Christmas. I stitched this up in like 1.5 evenings. It was so super fast. I stitched this on 36 count overcast by Color in Cotton with the called for floss. And I am turning him into an ornament, which I hope to share very soon. Absolutely precious. Huge fan of With Thy Needle and Thread as well, and absolutely love him. Love, love, love. So that is a finish, but needs to be a full finish. Also, another one that I stitched and did not get finished, even though I had the best intentions, is the Heart in Hand Wee Santa. This was stitched on 40 count blush Zweigart, using the called for overdyed floss 1 strand over 2, and he will also be an ornament, and he's going in that same stack. Everything dancer or dancer's friends and anything I need that's finished is going in a stack, and I am going to share these in an upcoming video, share how I'm finishing all of those. Next are some recent Christmas finishes. These were the Candy Cane Biscornus by the Blue Flower, part of the Jingle Ball 2023. I did take this class. The pattern for these is not out yet. I would imagine it will be released in a year, but don't quote me on that in case I am wrong. But most designers do release their patterns a year after a class or something. After a certain period of time. I shouldn't say it's a year. It varies from designer to designer. This one was stitched on 32 count Sparkle Gray Zweigart. This was the class fabric, and this was my first Biscornu. I did use a specialty floss from Cottage Garden Threads on this one. Everything for this one came in the kit. This one, the pattern came in the kit, but I stitched it on 40 count Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie, all the called for DMC and specialty DMC. And then I did pick up some additional Just Another Button Company pens and a mini snowflake button. You can see the size difference for this one. So just really fun to see the size difference. I know I showed this in my last video, from the 32 to the 40. Beautiful, beautiful. This is the Santa's Night Tree by Hello from Liz Matthews. I stitched this on 36 count Old Linen by XJU Design, 1 strand over 2. I did my own tree finish for this, and there is a new video. It's gone up since my last Flosstube here on my channel, so check that out. If you are interested in seeing how I did my tree finish, it does differ from the class finish. I kind of just went and did my own thing. I wanted it to match some quilted trees that I did last year, and it looked amazing on my mantle. I want to make all the trees now, all of the trees. So definitely check out that video tutorial if you want to see exactly how I made my tree. But this might be one of my favorite things I stitched this year. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So super fun. I highly recommend some of the Liz Matthews trees or Prairie Schooler trees or any tree chart that you see out there. Give it a try. It's really, really fun. Okay, I have a few more finishes to share. First, I have Crafty Blue Bonnet Tree Farm. I think I showed this in my last video. I did not get it finished yet, so this is going directly into my finish pile. I want to get it finished so I can just set it out in 2024 when Christmas season rolls around. I stitched this on a mystery fabric, still have no idea. I used my own colors. I literally just pulled from another group of floss that I had by my stitchy spot and made it work, and I love it. I did list them, I believe, underneath the last video. And when I post my finish on Instagram, I will list the ink. No, not ink. We're not in paper crafting, Nicole. I will list my floss colors down in the description because I do have them written down. So I love this sweet little finish, and I did start my finish for this. It's just not all the way done. And yes, you're wondering how, because you haven't done anything with this yet. I cannot wait to show you what I'm doing with it. I'm really, really excited. And my final Christmas finish of the year is, and pardon me for not ironing this, I'm so sorry. This is the free hands-on design Berries in Bloom chart. I did this as a stitch along with Handmade by Sarah W. And I stitched and finished this up within a week. I mean, it was super quick. I also stitched on some other things, so it wasn't just stitching on this. I used mostly the called for DMC. The only thing is I cannot find my 610, which is the little straight stitches here for the decorative branches in the wreath. And I had like 3 skeins of 611. I figured 611 was close enough to 610, and that's what I used. I also switched out the brown for Mary to one of the red colors because I like that better. I stitched on 40 count Friendship Green. I think I said that already. 1 strand over 2. So he's tiny. He's going to be a little ornament, and I love it. It turned out so stinking cute. Beautiful, beautiful chart. Then I did finish. I can't remember if I don't think I showed this in the last video. I'm thinking I wasn't quite here yet, but we have finished the snow magical stitching. I have also started the finishing for this. That finishing tutorial goes up January 3rd at 7 p.m. Central Time. So definitely come visit on my channel then. I will be live in the chat for the finishing tutorial, but it will be pre-recorded and edited. So because there's painting and sanding and, you know, all of that good stuff for the wood piece, that's the freeze frame from Chantal's 141 design. And so I like to do an edited video to save us a little time. I stitched this on 40 count Tobias, 1 strand over 2 with all of the called for floss. This is the called for fabric, called for floss, everything. The freeze frame does have a couple of options. So we have the smaller freeze frame that fits this size and 36, although 36 will go the finish will go all the way out to the outer edge. The 40 will leave a small border if you want to add some trim. And then the large size, which will accommodate a 32 or 28 size finish, or 16 or 14 count Ada, depending on what you stitch. It's going to fit the 32-16 a little bit better. Same thing. It'll leave you a little room for decorating. If you stitch on 14 or 28, your stitch will go all the way out to the outer edge. Never fear though. The focal point is this beautiful snowman design. So absolutely beautiful. Loved stitching that. Okay, this is the first ornament in the Crazy Annie Stitchin' 2023 Freezin season ornaments. It's the only one I got stitched. I have all of them though. So I hope to stitch on more of them this year. I stitched this on 36 count Duxbury by Fox and Rabbit, 1 strand over 2 with all the called for DMC. So precious. I absolutely love it. I want to get these stitched this year so that I can hang them on kind of my neutralish tree for next year. I was going to do a different finish for this guy, which I talked about when I stitched him, but I do think I'm actually going to do an ornament. So I'm going to throw him in my ornament finish pile to be finished. My next winter stitch is a full finish. This is the Emily Call Stitching Winter Pattern. I turned it into a pillow that I adore. This was my first pillow where I did the Rick Rack trim. I stitched a little coordinating button. I put some Just Another Button Company pins in, put a little twine. I love this little pillow. So stinking cute. This was stitched also on 36 count Duxbury by Fox and Rabbit. I have like a whole yard of Duxbury, which is great because I'm going to stitch the rest of my snowmen on it as well, so they match, but I really love it. Look how beautiful. 1 strand over 2 with all of the called for DMC. And that is my winter stitches. Valentine's Day. So I stitched Sweetheart and February 14th from Primrose Cottage Stitches on 32 count pink splash Lugana with the called for DMC. 2 strands over 2, added some decorative sewing pins, Cherry Chick Biz decorative pins in the center, put a little beautiful silk ribbon up there at the top, sewed them into little pillows. Oh, this is some of the Doodlebug fabric I've had for years and years, but I had a little scrap of it and I just loved it for the background of these. And I feel like these maybe have poly pellets and polyfill in them, but I love these. So these are getting ready to come back out. The winter and Valentine's are getting ready to come back out. I also stitched this free chart from Hello from Liz Matthews. Oh my word. And this is also on 36 count Duxbury by Fox and Rabbit. This is the Always. This is a free chart on Hello from Liz Matthews. This was the first Hello from Liz Matthews I stitched, and I'm in 100%. I love Liz. She's so sweet and she has amazing designs. So I made a little pillow. These are some just another Button Company pens, and this ribbon trim is old. I've had it forever. It's from Stampin' Up, and it was the perfect touch. I stitched with, I think this was black coffee, but don't quote me on this. It wasn't over dyed. I did stitch 2 over 2 on this 36 count. I thought maybe I did. I don't normally like to. I like 1 over 2, but I did on this. Did a little pillow. This is pretty. I think this is some Sweetwater fabric. I love Sweetwater, in case anyone had any doubt. But I've had it in my stash. Did a little pillow. I'm sure I did a ladder stitch down here, and then of course I covered the seam by sewing on this beautiful little pleated trim. Oh, I can't wait to get this guy out this year either. So pretty. And that is the Always free chart by Hello from Liz Matthews. Also free was the Cherry Hill Stitchery's Happy Valentine's freebie from last year. I made a little pillow from this guy too. I believe I just used any of the overdyed flosses that I wanted to from my stash. Also stitched on, let me look, 32 count Mayflower Mocha. So 2 strands over 2. Little plaid fabric on the back. Does this look familiar? I really love this fabric, clearly. That's so funny. I forgot I'd used that on this. I sewed a little rickrack trim around the edges. And just a fun little decorative dough bowl filler. Okay, this was a freebie as well from Emily Calls Stitching. It was the little love heart. I made it into this little decorative. I'm going to redo a little piece of this, and I will talk about that soon. I hope I get to it. If not, it's totally fine. But I made it into like this little beaded, like the little end for the little beaded piece. This was stitched on 36 count Milk and Honey by Fox and Rabbit. 1 strand over 2 with the called for DMC. I almost feel like this bow is in the way there. And those were my full finishes for Valentine's. Now, I have a couple that need to be fully finished. Here is the Heart in Hand Big Hearted Tiny Town, stitched on 32 count Pink Splash Lugana, 2 over 2 with all the called for floss. I did add the little mini buttons, and I am going to finish mine into a drum. I just have not done it yet, but I am going to do it this year to have this out for decor. Absolutely love this, and this was my only Tiny Town I've finished so far. He's just absolutely darling. I love it. Then there were so many good freebies last year, and I have so many more good Valentine's freebies. So many good Valentine's freebies is what I wanted to say. And there's so many more I want to stitch. I have tons from Hands On Design that I need to stitch. But this is the Silver Creek Samplers Do Everything in Love freebie. I stitched this on 28 count mushroom Lugana with the called for floss 2/2. And I need to finish this little sweetheart too. Isn't that so pretty? This stitched up so fast. Absolutely loved it. Easter and spring stitching. We had an Easter Sal, the More Chocolate Bunnies chart. This is More Chocolate Bunnies by Hands On Design. This was stitched on, I hope I have it, but I don't see it. I know that this was a Weeks Dye Works fabric. Oh, you guys, I didn't write it down. It's not in my notes. I'm so sorry. If I find it, I'll put it down there. Not my favorite fabric. It was a 32 count if I'm not I'm sure it was a 32 count. Kathy usually charts in 32 count. So 32 count. This is the Plentiful Pocket by 141 Design. Let's switch the camera around real quick so you can get a good look. So Plentiful Pocket by Hands On Design. It's this great paddle. It has a little pocket. We tucked in some fun Easter goodies in here. These were from Hobby Lobby. Most of them, I think. These might have been from Michael's. Combination. Anyway, I did a little ribbon. We did a fabric covered button here. I did a fun distressing technique. There is a video for this, so I will link to this down in the description if you want to see the finishing tutorial for More Chocolate Bunnies, but absolutely loved this one as well. Okay, I loved all of them. I should just stop saying that because I loved all of them, but really fun, and I am looking forward to sticking this out. This was the Hop On In, and it uses the same sulky floss. I stitched Hop On In on 32 count charcoal gray Lugana. Absolutely love it. One strand over two because it's the sulky. I used some little pins that I got off of Etsy, put a little ribbon around it, did a little rickrack trim. Super fun. I loved this Easter finish as well. See how cute? Love that. Also during Easter, we stitched the Cherry Hill Stitchery Hope. Loved this. Super sweet. I made a little pillow with this too. There is a tutorial on my channel for this one. I will link to that as well for finishing into a pillow finish with the rickrack trim. I had done that winter one and I did Hop On In. I think maybe I did Hop On In after this one. I can't remember. But they all kind of are basically the same. I stitched Cherry Hill Stitchery Hope on 37 count Russian Tea Cake by Legacy. And I stitched it on this because I stitched something else on this and I had that fabric and I wanted to use it, but I love it. Called for floss for this one. Super sweet. And then finally for Easter, I believe, I'll go double check. We have With Thy Needle and Thread, The Rabbit and the Rose. This was stitched on 37 count Russian Tea Cake by Legacy with all the called for floss. Stitched into a little pillow. Lady Dot creates chenille trim around the edges. One strand over two for this one. And just a beautiful little finish. I have lots of little chocolate bunnies in my stitching finishes for my Easter and spring season. For the Cherry Hill Stitchery, Bunnies Love Carrots. Hop This Way, and Bunny Food. Now that I see them, I like them a little bit more. I need to find something cute to do with them. I kind of know what I want to do. I need to find the right thing. But I stitched all of these on 36 count antique white linen with the called for DMC. If I am not mistaken, oh yeah, it's this one. I cut it too close. I laced it. Had to. Because I cut it way too close on accident. So it's pulled really tight, which I feel like you can see. It might just be that one. Oh no, I cut all of them too close. No, not this one. These two I cut too close. But I need to figure out a finish. Now that I see them, I like them more. That's so funny. Sometimes right at the moment when you've made a mistake, which I did when I cut it too close, you're a little too close to the situation. But now that I see them, we're gonna get these finished up this year and decorate with them. Super fun. We're going to do a little non-seasonal before we dive into patriotic and summer. First up, I have the free chart from Teresa Kogut, Create Every Day. This is awesome. Still have not fully finished it. I need to get on that. Stitched on 40 count blush Zweigart linen, 1 strand over 2, using my own color conversion from Color and Cotton. Oh my word, I love it so much. Still love it, but I do need to get this finished up. Another kind of non-seasonal, and I'm so embarrassed that I didn't get this done, or FFO'd. This is my parents' 50th little finish stitch that I did, and part of it is I can't figure out how I want to FFO it. That's the problem with this. But this was an hands-on design, celebrate the years. I cannot remember what I stitched this on. Oh, I do know. I stitched something else that I shared with you guys on this. What would it have been? What? Oh, I know what it was. It was right here. 32 count Mayflower Mocha. And I stitched with the called for floss. It's really, really pretty. I'm thinking I was going to put it in a little frame because I think that's how my parents would display it the best. But I really want to make a pillow. We shall see. I need to finish that and get it sent to them. And then another kind of non-holiday, I would rather be stitching by Primrose Cottage, stitched on 25 count antique white Lugana with the called for DMC, 2 strands over 2. I am going to turn it into a pumpkin. No, I am going to turn this into a pillow. I just need to do that. So sweet. See, you guys, I have so many stitches that I finished this year, but I need to FFO. Okay, another everyday item that I fully finished this year, and it's huge, is my Primrose Cottage Hive Rules. I have to do it back here because otherwise it won't fit. This is a heavy paddle I got from Hobby Lobby, and I don't see the thing on it. I bought it on clearance. I can't remember when. It was completely out of season because, I mean, this dude is heavy. It's really nice quality. I stuck together a couple pieces of press-on board to make it long enough. I added fabric down at the bottom and up at the top with a rickrack trim. You can see here. I'll do a little closer look at that. That's how I balanced it out. Did a little bow. I have this adorable little bumblebee here that I made. That's from Just Another Button Company. Pretty little burlap ribbon trims. And then I did a little custom bee button down here with some twine. Loved how this turned out as well. Perfect for bee decor, and was very happy to do a full finish on this big one. Let's talk summer and patriotic. First up, I have the Cherry Hill Stitchery Sweet Summer. When I finished this and I talked about it, I am going to put this into a project bag. This will be my next project bag tutorial. I just never got it done, and I'd like to put it out in the right season. So look for this spring. I'm going to show how to take a cross-stitch piece and put it into a project bag. And I talked about this when I shared this during regular Flosstube. Part of the reason that I'm putting this into a project bag is because this was stitched on, Where do you suppose it is on my list? It was stitched on, I believe, 25 count mushroom. Yes, it was 25 count mushroom Lugana. So it's really big. And my preference would be to have a little bit smaller. In fact, I have a smaller one in my whip. So I'm going to turn this into a fun summery project bag. I'm really excited about it. So look for that coming. I still have that in my plan. Oh, and I stitched this 2/2 with the, I don't think I used the called for. I maybe did. I don't know because I don't have the pattern right here. These are overdyed, so maybe not, because a lot of times she has overdyed and DMC, and I'm pretty sure I only used overdyed. In fact, this looks really dark compared to this. I feel like that needs to be torn out, but it's going to be a project bag. It might just live like this. Okay. Next, this was a bonus from the stitch along piece, which I'll share that in a minute. We did a patriotic stitch along. This is Land That I Love. This was stitched on 32 count Salt Bush by Fox and Rabbit, and I used 1 strand over 2. And I remember talking about this during regular Flosstube as well. Here's what I started with: 2/2. On 32 count, I almost always do 2/2, but I hated how it looked. It did not look good. So I did 1/2 and I loved it. It's a little softer, but I think it turned out beautiful. And I'm going to make this into a little pillow to display with the stitch along piece, which I'm going to share next. So we did a stitch along in summer, in June, I believe, May, June. It all runs together at a certain point. This is also the plentiful pocket. You know, I bet you I never was able to show these at the time because I probably didn't, I had Easter put away. Let's show it. I wanted to show the versatility of the plentiful pocket, that you can use it for more than one thing. So we did more chocolate bunnies, which this was made for. I mean, it's a lot of things will fit on that pocket, but that's kind of the thought behind it. And then I made 2 Cherry Hill Stitchery charts work for this Stars and Stripes. So I did Stars and Stripes and Red, White, and Bloom. This right here is Red, White, and Bloom. Stars and Stripes is a chart. Red, White, and Bloom is a chart. And I combined them to fit this. And it turned out so pretty. I absolutely love it. Of course, we've got our 4th of July picks in the pocket, a bow. I did the finish pretty much the same. We did a different paint technique for this. I did rickrack trim around the edges. There is a tutorial for this guy too. Okay, this is the 4th of July Holiday Hoopla by With Thy Needle and Thread. It is finished on a finishing piece from Chantal's 141 design. I can't think of the name. I'll put it across the screen right here. I stitched this on 32 count paper bark with the called for floss 2/2. I did use the Whisper Floss for Uncle Sam's beard. I love this little chart. He's a cutie. I did a little round finish, used some pom-pom thread, and there is a tutorial on my channel where I share, I believe it's a bow tutorial for this one. But I will link that down in the description as well. And painted the same as the Plentiful Pocket board. Same color, so, and the same ribbon, so it all goes together really, really nice. And finally, for patriotic, I have my Home Sweet Home by With Thy Needle and Thread, stitched on 36 count Vintage Country Mocha, 1/2, all the called for floss, sewn into a little pillow, much like the finish on the cover for this chart. I did a little rickrack trim. I did dunk it in a coffee tea dye because it was a little too bright blue for me for this stitch. So I did dunk it, and then I put a little bow at the top. So sweet. let's talk fall and then Halloween. First up, fall. This first stitch I actually do not have because I gave it as a gift during the pep rally retreat. So I'm going to throw a picture probably here up on screen. This is the hands-on design pumpkin spice farm. I still want to stitch this for myself. I have it all kitted up to stitch for myself. So probably that'll be a 2024. I loved stitching it. I stitched mine on 36 count Milk and Tea by Color and Cotton with my own color conversion. And I'm going to do that exact same thing for myself. I have it kitted up exactly the same. I loved how it turned out, so I'm going to do it again. Okay, let's do my other fall finishes. So I stitched this up. This is Lori Holt's Stitch Cards R, and then I combined it with the free Lori Holt I'm Just Saying alphabet from Fat Quarter Shop. This was part of their, oh, what was their fall stitch along called? I love when I can't think of it. I made a little pillow. I did a little patchwork with Lori Holt fabrics. Rick Rack trim. I stitched this on 36 count Hazelwood by Fiber on a Whim. I did do my own color conversion for this. I added a little heart button, some fun little trim there. And again, all Lori Holt fabrics for this little patchwork. Oh, I just loved how it turned out. It was really, really fun to stitch. Then this was stitched for a very long time, but I finally FFO'd it this year. This was the Fat Quarter Shop Autumn Beauties. I stitched this on 14 count Oatmeal Aida with all the called for overdyes. I used some Lady Dot Creates velveteen on the back, Lady Dot Creates chenille trim around the edges, and it just made the sweetest little pillow. I love it. I've had it forever, and it's been in the drawer, and I'm so glad I finished it this year. So that was a finish as well, full finish. We're going to go back to the pep rally retreat. We have the beautiful, this is the Four Seasons Folk Autumn by Hands On Design. First time doing magnets. This was finished on a paddle by Chantal of 141 Design. When this chart is released, because this is autumn, so you can expect the other 3 seasons to be represented at some point, this paddle will be released. You can see the etching detail on this. It's been stained. I finished this just like Kathy taught. I did end up doing the specialty stitches. I got an F during the retreat. No, I'll be generous. I'll give myself like a D. I needed to finish stitching mine. I didn't get my pre-stitch all the way done. I could have done it there, but I was struggling with the specialty stitches, and I really thought I wouldn't do them. But I came home and I actually whipped them out. They are a little bit of work. There you go. You can see they add so much texture. This was stitched on 32 count Driftwood by Fabrics by Stephanie. I love Fabrics by Stephanie. Love Fabrics by Stephanie. And I made my own little decor up here instead of using the little leaves we got during the class. I did the acorns and leaves from Pashta Design and tied those up at the top, but you can see they'll come off. This comes off. It's got magnets, and I could stitch another season and put it on there. So awesome. So awesome. So again, this is Four Seasons Folk Autumn by Hands On Design. While we're front facing, we might as well dive into Halloween with the Flying Lesson chart by Silver Creek Samplers, finished on the hanging sign from Chantal's 141 Design. This was a SAL as well. There is a finishing tutorial for this. This was stitched on 32 count Hazelwood by Fiber on a Whim. I used my own color conversion for this. I switched a lot of the colors. I did a lot of purples and things on mine. Ended up doing that. Wasn't completely sure I was going to, but I love it. You can see I tied in some purples with some of my decor. But it turned out so much better than I could have imagined. In my mind, I had this great idea, and it really came out exactly like I wanted. So again, this is Flying Lessons by Silver Creek Samplers. I'd had this chart in my stash for a while, and it was super fun to stitch this with all of you guys. Absolutely delightful. All right, we'll set that there. Also, Halloween this year, I had one more FFO and then just a finish. So my FFO of the Hello from Liz Matthews Boo, this was in Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher in 2022. She released the chart in 2023. I turned mine into a sweetie little pillow. It's stitched on 36 count Mystic Owl by Color and Cotton using over-dyed floss. I believe it's All Weeks Dye Works. And just the sweetest, cutest little pillow finished with some Lady Dot Creates chenille trim. And finally, we have the hands-on design, a classic haunt. This was stitched on 32 count Lilac by Fabrics by Stephanie, 2/2. And I even have finishing pieces for this, but I just have not done it. I can't decide between two different finishing pieces. But I need to get this one finished for 2024. I have some time. We're going to work on getting the Valentine stuff finished and winter snowman finished first. But absolutely super duper sweet. Giveaway. So I wanted to do a giveaway for my Finish Parade today. Since this is a Flosstube, it's just a special Flosstube episode. This is the Stitch Quarterly from Fat Quarter Shop, the most recent one. I did an unboxing of this last week, but I just want to remind you that you will get the bag. You're going to get the full kit. The full kit. The bag, the darling chart, perfect for winter stitching, Christmas, but I think it also goes into winter nicely. That's called Wintertime. All of the floss to complete this, DMC and a Classic Color Works, a John James needle, the minty green opalescent fabric, the darling penguin needle minder, and then this awesome tail threader, which these are now in stock at Fat Quarter Shop. I saw, I think you get random ones. These are awesome. They have a reel on their Instagram. Check it out. I really want to keep it, but I'll get one. I want to give the full kit away. So leave the comment winter. Leave the word winter somewhere in your comment. Sorry, guys. In order to win this, you will have until the date that I put on the screen. I forgot to write down that. In order to leave a comment for a chance to win, and I will send this out to one of you. So, super fun. I hope you guys are excited about the chance to receive this. And I am going to link any of the items that you can purchase individually. I know the bag and the needle minder and the little tail threader. I'm sure the fabric and stuff is available at Fat Quarter Shop if you want to pick up this for some of your wintertime stitching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Finish Parade for 2023 as we wrap up the year. I hope if you're participating in 12 by 12, you are having a great time. Maybe this gives you something that you could watch during 12 by 12. Stay tuned. I will be releasing a whip parade and talking all about this year's plans, stitching Christmas all year long, and finishing up my whips. Lots of fun plans for this year. I'm sure we will have a stitch along. I have not planned anything yet. I'm in talks. I will have a stitch along this year for sure. My next Flosstube will be next Sunday, and we'll be back to regularly scheduled programming where I share, whips and haul and all of that good stuff. Hopefully I'll have lots of finishes to show you in that video. The whip parade will come sometime here in the next week. If I don't get it up the first, it'll come sometime during the week. But weekend, I don't know, whenever. I need to iron all of them, and I really need to be organized before I come up with that. Across the screen, I did have a final tally because I think I accidentally doubled up some of them. I noticed as I was going through my list that I didn't catch that I had doubled up a couple. So I think I was close to 50 finishes this year. That's a lot of stitching, you guys. A lot of stitching. And that is just intentional stitching, keeping up with it. A lot of times I think we're so hard on ourselves and we always feel like we don't get everything done. At least I do. And this really showed me, wow, I stitched a lot this year. I finished a lot this year. And I was really excited. I mean, this isn't even all my stitching. I have stitched on a lot of other things that are just not done. So I hope that this inspires you. I hope everyone has a wonderful new year. If you're watching this later, I hope you had a wonderful new year. And I will see you guys all again really soon. Thank you guys so much. I just want to remind everybody, please like, subscribe, do all of those good things. The big party to celebrate my 100,000 subscribers will be coming in January, and as soon as we're past the first of the year and the holiday, I will be announcing when that's going to be. I have lots of amazing giveaways for you guys. I can't wait. It's going to be a super fun celebration. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would love if you would. So thank you guys. Happy New Year. Bye. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new Flosstube stitching or quilting video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.